Okay, aluminum ion. It's right there. It has a +3 charge. Sulfide has a -2 charge. We just bring them down. The next step is to switch the two numbers, the 3 and the 2. We just switch them. So 3 is going to go over there. 2 is going to go over there. We call it aluminum sulfide. Another aluminum which has a +3 charge. Remember that because it's in group 13. SO4 -2 because SO4 is a sulfate. That's called sulfate. So aluminum and the sulfate, SO4 sulfate. It's like having a family that you never leave. SO4s together as a polyatomic. You put the 3 there and the 2 there. We just swap the numbers. But remember, when you have more than one polyatomic as a subscript, like 3 or 2 or 4 or 5, you have to put in parentheses. 3 goes there. And we call it aluminum sulfate. That's the name of this compound. Aluminum sulfate. And I'm negative ions. I'm going to use a polyatomic called phosphate. And you notice phosphate has a -3 charge. So now we got the PO4, which is phosphate, and we have aluminum. They both have 3's as their charges. One is +3 and one is -3. Okay. So 3 to 3 is really just 1 to 1, ladies and gents. 3 to 3 mathematically is just 1 to 1. So you don't need to show anything there because 1 to 1 is understood. So you can just write AlPO4. This example has a chlorate in it. ClO3 is a chlorate. It's a polyatomic. It's called chlorate. It has a -1 charge. And we call it chlorate. So this compound is going to be called aluminum chlorate. With a -1 charge. Now, when we put it together and use the crisscross method, we're going to cross the 3 and the 1. The 3 from the +3 of aluminum, and then the 1 from the chlorate. How do we do that? We just drop the symbols. So AlCO3. That Cl3 can never leave. It's got to stay there. The 3 and that Cl3. But then we move the other 3 from the aluminum down. We just switch them. Okay? And then we put in parentheses. The Cl3 has to be together in parentheses. Okay? It's aluminum chlorate. Now the next example has magnesium, which is a +2 charge. It's a monatomic ion. And then we have the phosphate, which is a -3 charge. It's a polyatomic. Remember, PO4 is always going to stick together. You can never get rid of PO4. So we call that a phosphate. It's a polyatomic ion called phosphate. And that's magnesium. And they're going to come together to form this compound, and we're going to do the crisscross method. We're going to crisscross the 2 and the 3. That 2 right there. Okay? So we're just going to bring the 2 and the 3 and switch it. Swap it. 2 goes over there and the 3 goes over there. And we make sure we put the phosphate in parentheses. That's called the crisscross method. You just crisscross the numbers. Okay? The 2 and the 3 get crisscrossed. Okay? Magnesium, bring that down, and then we bring the nitrate down. The nitrate is NO3. We can never change the NO3. Those 3 oxygens are stuck to the nitrogen. Okay, we put the 2 down there, and we put the 1 right there. We just swap it. Okay, but whenever we have 2 nitrates, we have to put them in parentheses because it's a polyatomic. Okay. It's ammonium, NH4, plus 1 charge. That's phosphide. It's a minus 3 charge. It's in group 15. So we bring the NH4 down and we bring the P down, which is the phosphide. Okay, but what do we do with those numbers on top? The 3 and the 1, we just switch them. 3 goes there, and the 1 goes there. And so that's your answer, except for you do want to delete that 1 because 1 is understood. We never show it. Okay, ammonium phosphide. The ammonium goes in parentheses because there's 3 of them. Ammonium, it's a polyatomic. NH4 is always going to be NH4. And then we have OH minus, which is hydroxide. OH minus, that means minus 1. And so because it's a 1-to-1, boom, this is the easiest one. So whenever you see 1-to-1, you just put them together without a parentheses. They're just 1-to-1, so you don't need parentheses. Okay. You just put them together. It's one thing. Ammonium, hydroxide come together. Those 2 things come together in a 1-to-1 ratio. Another example, NH4, which is ammonium, and SO4. SO4, okay. The sulfate has a minus 2 charge. Ammonium has a plus 1 charge. So we just bring down the NH4, and we bring down the SO4. And we swap the 2 numbers. The 2 goes there, and the 1 comes there. And don't forget, because we have 2, we have to put in parentheses. And we drop the 1 because the 1 is understood. And that's the answer. Ammonium sulfate. Calcium is a monatomic ion. It's plus 2. And then we have carbonate, which is a polyatomic. It's a minus 2. See, the 2-to-2 is still a 1-to-1. Mathematically, 2-to-2 is the same as 1-to-1. So you're just going to rewrite it. It's just 1-to-1. You don't need parentheses or anything like that. Okay? If you were going to put it here, you would put it through there. And then you would go ahead and take this 2 and put a 2 next to that. But if you look at that, that's still 1-to-1. So we don't need any of that because 1-to-1 is already simplified. Okay, so we don't need any of that. We just put it together like that. And that's called calcium carbonate. Now we have ammonium, which is plus 1, and we have oxygen, which is a minus 2. Remember, oxygen is in group 16, so that's why we know it's a minus 2. NH4, I'm going to switch out the 2 and the 1. The 2 and the 1. That 2 is going to come over there, and that 1 is going to come over there. Remember, we need parentheses whenever we have more than one polyatomic. So you got to put that 2 in parentheses. Excuse me, the NH4 in parentheses. And then we disappear, make that 1 disappear because we don't show it. And we clean it up, make it look nice and neat. There we go. Ammonium oxide. Okay. Don't confuse it with aluminum oxide. Aluminum is Al. Aluminum is Al. Aluminum oxide is Al. And then it has a 2, because we crisscross, remember? Okay. Ammonium oxide is different from aluminum oxide. They both have the oxides, but aluminum is the metal aluminum, and ammonium is polyatomic, okay? And please don't confuse it with ammonium hydroxide. See, there's a hydroxide ion. It's called a polyatomic. It's an OH. Hydroxide is OH. So make sure you know the difference between hydroxide and oxide. Hydroxide has the OH. So this example, ammonium hydroxide. Hydroxide ion is OH minus 1. Oxide ion is O minus 2. Oxide is monatomic. Hydroxide is polyatomic. Poly meaning it has more than one. Okay? They're two different things.